Inside the family head's office, Teo acknowledged that something had indeed changed about Knox, as reported by the head butler. Teo pondered the cause of this change, wondering if Knox had been possessed by a demon. Regardless, he acknowledged that Knox had captured his attention. Teo instructed the head butler, Rodwell, to continue keeping a close eye on Knox. The family head was curious about the transformation in Knox and wanted to understand the reasons behind it. Meanwhile, Knox was running at the practice hall, sweating and panting heavily. Observing the scene, one of the maids commented on his frequent visits to the practice hall. Another maid mentioned the upcoming duel in 1 month, sparking curiosity among them about Knox's sudden dedication to physical training. Knox, overhearing their conversation, wondered why he was able to pick out their words so clearly and questioned if he had a special trait. At that moment, he received a system message indicating a slight increase in his stamina stat. Knox expressed disappointment at the small increment and reflected on the significance of stamina for him. He recognized that his low stamina was his greatest obstacle and a hindrance to unlocking his full potential with the traits swordsmanship and combat genius. Knox understood that the requirement to utilize the trait was to have his stamina stat reach 4. However, due to the curse of the week, it had taken him a month to increase his stamina by only 1.9 points. Knox felt frustrated with the curse of the week, a trait that reduced his growth rate by half. Despite putting in a lot of effort, he had only managed to increase his stamina by a small amount, and the terminal illness trait further hindered his progress. Knox realized that he needed to exert 4 times as much effort compared to others, just to see minimal improvements. The difficulty of his situation weighed heavily on him. Knox decided to put away those worries for now. Just then, Rona showed up, pushing a cart full of stuff Knox had asked for. He was surprised how fast she was. With the materials ready, he felt confident about his work. Thinking about getting stronger, Knox reassured himself he could handle any problems. He believed his knowledge would help him overcome anything. Wondering why Knox needed those things, Rona asked why he wanted them. She worried because they seemed dangerous and costly. She said the scroll seemed useful, but the others weren't. Knox told her people didn't know how to use the materials right, hinting they had hidden value. Curious, Rona watched as Knox drank a bottle of liquid. She got scared, yelling it was poison. Knox realized it was powerful poison. A message said he got a bit stronger from the poison of the 3-headed Gorgon, but he had a countdown to death. 9 minutes and 59 seconds. Rona got more worried and wanted to call for help, but Knox told her to wait and ate something from the cart. Rona got even more scared, saying it wasn't meant to be eaten. More messages popped up saying Knox would slowly turn to stone from eating the thing. The poison was reacting with it. Knox was happy about the results, thinking his plan worked. The thing he ate was supposed to turn people to stone or boost defense, but mixed with the 3-headed Gorgon poison, it did something special. Messages kept showing up saying the poison's bad effect was gone. Knox was excited since the curse that was bothering him was gone, but Rona, crying, worried he might die soon. Ignoring her, Knox started unbuttoning his shirt. Rona covered her eyes, shocked. He poured a liquid on his head, and messages appeared again. The dew of the remembering fairy stopped the stone effect. Another hidden thing happened. Knox got a blessing of growth from the dew and the golem core he ate. Knox was pleased with the outcome, as his plan had unfolded just as he had intended. The notification indicated that the blessing of growth would double his stat growth until his stamina reached 5. With only a scroll remaining, Knox picked it up and used it. Another notification appeared, stating that he had activated the Rapid Stamina Growth scroll, which doubled his stamina growth rate. Knox thought about the results, realizing he had gotten rid of the curse. With the blessing of growth and the scroll, he could now increase his stamina faster than most people. This meant he could improve his stamina stat much quicker. Out of nowhere, Rona leapt onto Knox, nearly knocking him over. She looked worried and asked if he was okay with teary eyes. Knox was a bit annoyed and told her to get him a towel, but seeing how concerned Rona was, he decided to go easy on her now that the curse was gone. He smiled and assured Rona he was fine. She kept worrying, suggesting he rest and maybe call the head butler. Knox reassured her once more that he was okay. Curious about his next steps, Rona asked what he planned to do. Knox just said, "Run." With that, Knox and Rona dashed through the practice hall, catching the attention of Thalia, who stood nearby watching them. Thalia, who had been observing Knox, wondered why someone as weak as him would challenge his brothers. Her maid Emma tried to tell Thalia not to stare at Knox and reminded her of manners, but Thalia cut her off, frustrated and surprised by Knox's lack of sword skills and his refusal to accept help from the other knights of Reinhardt. Thalia didn't understand why she cared so much about Nox's situation, even though she thought he'd probably get beat up in a month. Despite her thoughts, Thalia couldn't shake off her annoyance. Deciding to address the matter, Thalia walked over to the practice hall, telling Emma she'd be back. Approaching Nox as he rested, she introduced herself. Nox was surprised by her coming to talk to him and asked her what she wanted, mentioning he'd heard her name before. Thalia felt a bit flustered by Nox's cold attitude and thought he must be surprised by her looks. She confronted Nox, asking why he was so confident about defeating his brothers. She wondered if that's why he accepted the match. She questioned his belief that running alone would help him win. She offered to help him, expressing her willingness, but Nox calmly turned down her offer and told her to leave, not interested in her assistance. Thalia couldn't believe how Nox responded and exclaimed in disbelief, frustrated that he treated her this way when she was trying to help. Rona watched from the sidelines, thinking that if Nox kept acting like this, girls wouldn't like him. Thalia gave up on convincing Nox and started to walk away, clearly upset by his refusal and dismissive behaviour. Meanwhile, Nox used his insight ability on Thalia, checking out her stats and learning more about her abilities and traits. He noticed Thalia had impressive stats, especially her stamina, which was higher than most grown-up guys. While she might not be as powerful as the 3 swordmasters, or the 4 great mages on the continent, Nox saw she had the potential to reach their level and fight demons effectively with her fire attribute magic. Nox also knew that in the near future, Thalia's fire attribute magic would awaken to white flames and be used to burn the demonized version of himself. He understood that if he managed to make Thalia his ally at this point, it would drastically alter the future events of the story. Therefore, he needed to find a way to navigate the original story while avoiding his own death. He pondered whether it was possible to maintain a good relationship with someone who would eventually be responsible for his demise. 1 month later, Thalia walked through the hallway. She thought about the praise she got for learning fast and the expectations tied to her family's talent, but she felt small compared to her sister's gift. Thalia wondered if she could ever be a knight. Knights needed to be unselfish, live simple, and even sacrifice themselves for others. They also needed to be super good at fighting with a sword. She doubted if Nox, who only did cardio, could beat his well-trained brothers. The next day, Nox and Alan stood in the ring, with people watching. They were fighting to get into Eldin Academy. Fitila, the head's first wife, was watching too. The butler nearby heard the head asking what he thought about the fight. The butler thought Alan might win based on past fights, and the head agreed, but the butler wasn't sure if the head wanted something else. He doubted Nox could win, even though he had changed. The butler knew becoming a great fighter was tough. He wondered if Nox had what it took. The head then mentioned that Nox might have the talent of a sword emperor. On the duel grounds, Nox saw a message that his trait for sword fighting wasn't working. He felt annoyed and wondered if his luck was terrible. He'd been trying so hard, but his stamina was stuck at 3.8. A few days ago, his stamina had increased by 0.1 while running, and he was close to 4. Rona ran alongside him, showing signs of exhaustion. She questioned if she had to keep up. Nox wiped sweat off his face and replied that it wouldn't be fun without her. He joked about needing someone to take care of him. Rona looked teary-eyed, as if she had heard something else. Nox handed her a towel and gave her another task. Rona made a pouting face but accepted. Nox playfully accused her of cursing him in her mind. She denied it and accidentally bit her tongue. Nox chuckled at her mishap and considered using his insight ability to view her stats. To his surprise, Rona's stamina stat was 4.5, better than his own. He was amazed by the Reinhardt family's strength. Rona reminded Nox it was evening and suggested he rest before the duel. Nox felt time pressure, thinking he didn't have enough time to improve his stamina. At the duel ring, Alan told Nox to give up. Despite Nox's family reputation, Alan seemed unsure about defeating him too harshly. Nox noticed Alan's mixed feelings. Nox mentioned that Alan didn't seem to want him to quit. Alan's attention turned to Thalia from the Stillreiner family. He wanted to impress her. He believed that Nox would assist him in achieving that goal. However, Nox expressed uncertainty about whether it was a wise decision. Observing Alan's stamina stat of 8, Nox realized that he couldn't defeat him using ordinary methods, and contemplated alternative approaches. As the referee announced the duel between Nox and Alan for the admission ticket to Eldin Academy, he emphasized that both of them must accept whatever the results may be, and that objections would not be tolerated. Nox felt nervous, realizing that everything hinged on this duel. His main objective was to find his memories and discover the sender of the letter, as he knew that after the 1-year grace period, his life would be in danger. The referee asked one last time if both of them were ready, and then he announced the beginning of the duel. What will happen next? Find out next time by staying tuned for our future recaps. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great recaps.